Hello. It works. Muchos apologente. I'll just stick with English for today. And every other day of my life. I missed the deadline last week. I put out a video every Friday, and last week I really struggled. I'm going to let you know at the end of this video the reason why you didn't get a video last week. But this week I'm back making music, and we're going to create some background music for a YouTube video. The YouTube channel belongs to one of the buddies, one of the members of my online guitar learning platform. He's one of the more active members of the community, and I love the feedback that I get, so I wanted to do him a little bit of a favour. A lot of the questions that I've been having from him specifically lately has been about how to write background music for a YouTube video, how to write the theme music for his channel, so I wanted to help him out a little bit, and that's what we're going to do today. First of all though, we need to deal with all this homelessness look that's going on, homeless chic. It's a bit better. Now the first thing we need to take into account is the theme of the channel that we're writing music for. Now, Wayne's channel is all about cars. It's called Talk Cars, best pun ever. And he knows everything about cars there is. You can find a link to the channel below. He's learning a lot about it. I think it's the first YouTube channel he's made, but he does have a big following online in different forums and things, and he just gives advice on everything about cars. Now, there is a theme with the music that he's chosen, and a theme with the music that he's been learning with me, and it's very rock and blues oriented. I've got some ideas of how we can utilize that and cars, and I'm going to talk you through my ideas as we get to that point when I pick up my guitar and start drilling some ideas. But first, I want to explain my ideas of how I'm going to structure this, how I'm going to mix this and record this in Logic. Now when you hear anything that's been recorded, there's always a foreground and a background. That's the way that I think of it, like a painting. You've got the stuff in the front that people usually see, most people see. The stuff in the back is there to embellish what's in the front, or to, you know, there's always a purpose for it. It'll add contrast, it'll add depth, and that's what we're trying to write here, is the background. It's not anything that takes over from the main message of what the video is trying to say. There's a few ways we could do that in terms of actual mixing it with the EQ. If you drop out a lot of the higher frequencies, it'll tend to feel a bit more dull, a bit more rounded, it's less clear exactly what's going on, so you just focus on the most clear part, which is the speaking. Now, all that kind of stuff we'll do in Logic once we've recorded it, but we need to come up with some ideas. And when we think of these ideas, you still need to keep that in mind. You don't want anything too busy, you don't want anything that moves too much. You want it to be able to loop, so I want to be able to give this to Wayne and have him start and end it at any point. I don't want him to have to kind of chop it and then kind of splice things in and cut and chop things around. I want him to be able to drop it into his video editor and copy it, so it'll just repeat and repeat really, really easily. Now when it comes to actually mixing it, the main thing I'm going to think about in terms of like that foreground and background kind of thing, at the bottom we can have the bass. When someone records their voice, there's nothing really at the really bottom end that you need to hear. It kind of gets muddied up. So that's the bottom part, is what we're going to try to fill out with bass notes and bottom end frequency. Then either side, I'm going to have like the main guitar part, and they will be panned far right and far left. Now they are going to be recorded separately. I might double track them, I don't know what to do yet. And then I'm going to try to leave the middle completely free. So when you're listening to it, it feels like the vocals are in the front, just in the middle, coming straight at you. Everything else is kind of surrounding you a little bit. So now I'm going to get creative. I'm going to talk you through some of my ideas for these parts. Now what I'm going for with this is something not too busy, something bluesy. So I'm going to try and think of some riff. Some kind of rock blues riff. It's going to be more blues, I think. But I want it to have more groove than anything. I don't want it to be really pushy and like, powery and like really in your face. As we discussed, this needs to stand in the background somewhere. So if I pick a key, let's go for B. Pentatonic is a good place to go because there's not as much colour within the scale. I'm trying to think of something that fits that kind of feel. I don't want too many trills or different like licks. I mean, I'm trying to hold back as much as I can, so. So what I'm doing, I'm using the major third there to resolve to a happier colour. I mean, it sounds quite playful. If I want it to be more gritty, I can use a little microtonal bend from the flat third. So I've got like the basis of a riff. I don't want to overthink it. What I'm trying to do is come up with something that will just loop and it'll feel comfortable, not too samey. If that's the same all the way through, it gets boring quickly. It's the reason why a lot of my older videos will start off with some music when I'm introducing the video. At the end, I'll just kind of fade it in so you can hear it again at the end, just to let people know what's coming. That's the way that I use background music, usually. But I want to give Wayne the option to do that or not, so I want to add more movement to it. I don't want it just to be this. I want it to have a change of colour, so I could go... one option, and I'm trying to build tension with cadences. The most common cadence that I could go for is the fifth. So if I try to aim for F sharp 7, it's going to lead back. What leads into F sharp 7 would be E7. And that could be a good way to loop it back round. If I end with silence, then it'll be easier to it'll be easier for Wayne to work with when he puts it into the video. I think I'd want it to be a bit different to that though, and maybe we could do it the other way around. So I could go from F sharp 7. So I'm going for a plagal cadence type of feel rather than the perfect cadence. So we've got an idea of the tempo, the groove, the feel, and that's what I'm feeling at the moment. It might not fit with the context of whatever video Wayne is going with, or the theme, or the brand that he has associated with the channel, but we've got something to start with, and we have to start somewhere. Even if it's not exactly perfectly how you want it to be, it's in the ballpark. You know, you're working with the right kind of scale, you just messed up with chords. When it comes to recording it, I am going to add distortion, because there's a certain effect that I want to go with. When you distort a fourth interval and you play it, it sounds like a car engine. A third interval sounds like a horn. Is that the Doppler effect? Like when a car honks its horn as it goes past. Honk. I think it's the Doppler effect. Correct me if I'm wrong, physics dudes and dudettes. Oh, we stopped saying that in the 90s, I think, didn't we? But I do want to include some aspect of that, so it could be... approaching funk there, so I'm not sure where the line is drawn on what I'm going to go with, but I do want to add some of that in there. Now when you hear a car engine, it doesn't actually step up like that. That's like a 70s computer version of a car engine. A car engine smoothly ascends in pitch as the speed gets higher, as the engine turns faster. The pitch goes up, then they change gear and it goes down again. when it slows down, you've got the same thing but kind of backwards. So you start high, down a gear. So I might want to include some aspect of that. Maybe we'll do like an extra thing. I might not find a place for that to fit with the background music, but maybe we can make something extra for Wayne's intro to his channel. I don't know, we'll see. So let's head back over to the control center. We'll fire up the engines and
lay down some tracks.
That's what cool studio people say. Okay, so the first thing, you may notice a difference with the audio because while I record and I show you what I'm doing on screen, I can't record the way that I usually do, so I have to use the onboard microphone, which is a rodent on a stick. So I apologise if it sounds like a 1930s gangster movie. So what we're going to do first is just kind of drill this. We'll find a tempo for this, put a metronome on. So I don't think we want it that quick, so let's take it down. So we go for 97 beats per minute. Cool. I might have to turn it up a little bit, just so that you can hear what I'm hearing. So this sounds like a... It sounds fine, it sounds groovy, it sounds like I can get behind that. So let's keep that where it is. Now we can, with the metronome, everything is steady, everything is easily kind of looped. So it makes it a bit easier to deal with and to handle. So let's record that and we'll just see what we can work with. So lots of different ideas there. A little bit too busy, but I don't know, we'll see how this goes. And when it comes to recording this, I did mention that I wanted to pan two identical parts either side. I can't just wing it when we do that. So this is just completely winged to get an idea of what kind of sound we want, what effects we want to add to this to make it feel the way we want it to. So to equalize that, to balance that sound, it looks something like this. So I'm going to do that again, only this time I'm going to change the effects on my guitar. I'm going to find a nice place for my guitar to be in. So let's turn that off. So that's just with tweaking the settings on my guitar. So now I've got a different pickup selector engaged. So now when I play it again, it should need less of that EQ. I shouldn't have to boost things so much. So let's try again. So now it should be a little bit easier to EQ. I'm going to sort this out because it's completely messed up. So I've just EQ'd it so it's balanced. There's a little bit of reverb on there. It looks a bit like this, just something. I've compressed it a little bit as well. The next thing, we want to add some sort of effect to it. So let's look at what we've got in terms of pedals. Okay, so fuzz is quite cool. So let's see how this sounds. So it's a little bit in your face, so I don't know, I'm going to try and play around with a few of those different effects to see what I like. So I quite like the crunch. So that's dirtied it up just a touch. Now I want to just test something out a little bit. I'm going to use my slide to add some sort of engine element into it. I don't know what, I might just start it off with something or maybe end it with something, I don't know, but I want it to be something like this. So I want to end here with fourth intervals. I don't want it to be too bouncy like that, so an engine will go, and I want it to end on B. But I also want it to be musical, so I've got to try and aim for, maybe I'll go for something like that. I don't know where I'm going to put it in, how I'm going to implement it, because it sounds like it's going to be something in your face. But yeah, we'll see what we can do with that one. But it sounds quite good with that effect. What I'm going to try to do now is I'm going to just add basically a drummer into it. There's one thing you could do with Logic is find a drummer. Rock, there's no blues in there, we go with rock for now. We'll just open it up, see who we've got. So there's a lot of like pre-programmed AI drummers with this, which I use every now and again, really, just to get an idea what's going on. So who have we got? Kyle. Wait for this to load. This is really old, so this takes ages. So let's see how this sounds, see what he does. So yeah, I can live with that. That's all right. I think we'll go with this guy, whatever his name is. Now you can change the size of the kind of phrases, the measurements of what he plays, like when he does fills and stuff, and you could just stretch this out for as long as you need to. So I'm going to try to go for like a minute if I can. So how far is a minute into this? Around here-ish. So I think a minute is a good amount of time to repeat. So I'm aiming for this point here. So I'm going to go back to the beginning, record something over here, make sure the last point is a complete silent stop so that it'll repeat comfortably. So, and we'll see how this goes. Do the same thing again. Cool, so there's nothing at the end of those guitar parts, it kind of finishes. So now we'll see how this sounds. That all the way panned to the right, this all the way panned to the left. So the last thing we need to add now is a bass. Ooh. Right, it's down the guitar track here, so let's add a new track. Slap the boss. So I am just going to riff through this a little bit, just get a feel for what we want. We don't want it too busy. I'll try and tie in with a kick drum. That's what rock and blues usually does, so let's see how it goes. So that would be too much. Some EQ to this and make sure it's balanced, add some compression, make sure everything's settled in and sitting where it should be and working as it should. Now to check that, I'm going to use it as backing for the last section of this video. Now I don't know whether this works, whether it does the job that we want it to. I have added a little bit of lead slide guitar as an option, so I've got two different versions of this. So you be the judge. I've got it playing right now at the moment. Does it get in the way? Does it, I don't know, does it have a certain vibe that you like? And I don't feel like this represents my personality that well, or this channel, what we're trying to go for, but it may represent Wayne's personality in his channel, but I don't know by how much, maybe not 100%, he might want to tweak things a little bit, and this is the first draft. If anyone's thinking of getting into this kind of work and you want to do this regularly and you want people to pay you to do this, then you have to expect to go through a few different drafts. I'd send this to Wayne, he would say, I don't like the beat, it's not Japanese anime metal enough. So whether Wayne decides to use it or not, I don't mind at all. It's just an opportunity for me to show you what I do here in the studio, usually on a regular basis. Just to acknowledge last week's skip, a little blip in the schedule. The reason was babies and illnesses, basically, in a nutshell. Lately, my YouTube channel has taken a bit of a hit due to the fact that I can't put the same amount of time into these videos as I usually do. The reason why I can put any amount of time into it is thanks to the buddies and my members of my guitar platform, so I want to thank you personally for being there. And I have checked the analytics on some of my latest videos, and a big chunk of the viewers are already subscribed, so I want to say thank you for subscribing. So I really hope you can bear with me over the next few weeks and months while my routine settles in a little bit more and I can keep providing you with interesting content, shall we say. I love you deeply with all of my heart, and I will see you next week for a new video.